All right, record, don't forget that. Awesome, guys. So hopefully you can see me, and if you can see and hear me, just let me know by throwing something into the chat or the questions or whichever one of those it might be. Just say yes, say boom, say anything you want to say, but I got to make sure that you can hear me and see me. All right, sweet. We got some yeses. We got a boom. That's my style. Perfect, guys. 5 o'clock. We are ready to go. Yeah, we got a huzzah. Not sure what that means, but we'll take it, dude. Thanks, Adam. Appreciate it. And I was looking at the attendee list, and it's awesome because half the people I know and half the people I don't know. So it's going to be great to get to know some of you guys tonight. And like I said earlier, we are going to have time for a hot seat. So if there's any audio issues throughout this, just drop a line in that chat. Let me know what's good, and we'll see if I can fix it. So technology is pretty crazy. I once did a webinar, no lie, I just told someone this too, a 1 hour webinar, and I didn't realize till the end that the audio was messed up. So the funny thing is, no one told me, but again, I couldn't figure it out because of the chat, and I was totally overwhelmed. So haven't done one of these in a while, and I moved to Scottsdale, Arizona, so I'm here. I'm excited to do this, and if you're jumping on today, I just want to say thank you for spending 1 hour. My goal is to get this done in about 45 to 55 minutes, and I'm going to have time for questions, time for a hot seat, and we'll go from there. So welcome again, Tommy Baker here. Stoked to have you. Live training, and the theme of this webinar is train less, eat more, simplify the game, and achieve unthinkable results in the next 90 days. And really the whole mission behind this is to help people break through plateaus. And as a fitness coach during the last 8 years and running my own businesses, running a personal training gym, running a big performance fitness studio in Connecticut, the number one reason why people stayed with me was because our team was able to help them break through plateaus, right? Because if you're putting time, energy, and money into something, you should be seeing some type of result. And what I see in fitness way too often these days is that it's not happening, that people are just stuck and they're already doing the hard work, right? The hard work is the showing up. It's really hard to start something new. It's really hard to start a new habit. So, if you are putting the time and energy into that, you should be seeing something on the other side, right? And so how to maximize this session, how to get something out of this? Well, number one is to play all in and to focus. So just what I mean by that is to, let the cell phone, put the cell phone in airplane mode, and, turn off Facebook and turn off all that stuff. Because if you set an hour of your valuable time to be here, then it's because you want to learn something, right? And if you're anything like me, I'm a big learner. I go on a lot of people's webinars. I do a lot of podcasting and whatnot. It's very important for me to always have a big takeaway, but I can't get that takeaway if I'm chatting on Facebook or checking Instagram or doing all the million other things that we do. So those are two things: play all in and focus. The third one is to ask questions. So throughout the session, if something comes up, don't hold it in. Just ask the question. And then when I get to my hot seat section, I'll literally go one by one through the questions and answer them from you. And if you want a hot seat, that would be a live check-in that a couple of people wanted to do. I don't see them on here right now, but maybe they'll jump in later, and we'll make that happen. Number four is to get one big takeaway, and just remember that insight is useless. I wrote bullshit on there, could be as well. It's just useless without some sort of action, right? So my goal for today is to give you one big nugget. Maybe it's something you've heard before and I reinforce. Maybe it's a new way of looking at stuff, but that tomorrow you're going to put it into action, because that's what's going to create change, right? I see people all the time, especially in fitness, they're arguing online and looking at videos online and doing all this stuff and posting motivational quotes and all cool stuff, like all positive and cool stuff, but you got to make it happen. So game time. So like I said, half the people on here know me and half the people don't know me. And even the people that know me, I realized a lot of them know me through my online stuff with Tommy Baker Fitness and how active I am on Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff, but they don't really know me on a deeper level and why I'm here and why you should listen to me and all that. So, when people ask me what I do is plain and simple. I just help people uh, realize the power of their physical bodies and then use that to create a transformation that allows them to grow in all areas of life. So I'm pretty blunt with people. As much as I love the science of training and did that for many, many years, I'm kind of over that. I still love creating awesome programs, technical programs and all that. But for me, it's, man, what can the power of investing in yourself and moving and fitness and blood flow and all that awesome stuff that comes with it, all those results do for the rest of your life? And that's really what I've spent the last 6 years with my own business, and then a couple of years solo before that. And I want to take you through two quick stories on why I do what I do, and it's super important to know this because people can see me and they're like, dude, you look like a lifelong athlete, and man, I wish I was a long-lived athlete, right? I had to hustle my ass off to do everything I did in competition and get to the place where I'm at. But I have two stories for you that will show you why I got into this space. And then the first one was, so I grew up in South America, between South America and the East Coast of the United States. So two very different places. Think like suburban Connecticut with really nice houses and white picket fences and a lot of green stuff. And then think a capital of South America, which is known for massive amounts of conflict and drugs, even though I never saw any of that. It's a beautiful place in Colombia. But just two different places in the world. And we moved back and forth over and over. I can't even explain the story. It's so complex. But what that did for me was a couple things. It allowed me to grow up in two cultures, obviously gave me two languages and all that, but it allowed me to see the difference between physical culture and how important fitness was in one. So obviously in the US, fitness was so huge. Sports teams, all that stuff was so structured and so organized. You can choose through like any type of sport. And then in Colombia, you just had soccer and it wasn't even organized. It was just like people on a field with no refs just trying to figure it out. And so at a young age, I was like, man, I want to be an athlete. Like for me, it was baseball, football. Like I'm all in on these two sports. But then I kept getting moved back to Colombia, and then I would go down there. I'd be like, shit, man, I can only play soccer. I even attempted to bring football down to Colombia. That did not work out well. It turned into some sort of rugby soccer mix. But really my first big moment, and the reason why I started doing what I do is that I was back here for ninth grade after 3 years in Colombia, and I was like, all right, man, high school football, I am all in on that. Like, it was just my dream, right, to play high school football at that point. And so my mom drops me off at the training camp, and I'm already late. So this is horrible. Like, I'm already 3 weeks late for the training camp. They've done all this stuff, right? And I'm in the locker room, and I'm ready to go in. And then I can still remember the moment. I see this group of guys, boys, I guess, walk by, and I was like, oh my God. Like, they looked like they were in the NFL to me. And I remember looking up, and I was like, there's just no way. And at that moment, I was like, oh man, I was nervous. I was shy at that point too. I had my confidence was shot because this was such a new place for me. And I was like, man, I cannot do it. I cannot go in there. And I was like, shit, well, my mom dropped me off. I can't call her right now because that's so lame, and she's going to tell me to go in. So I ended up walking back, and I'm like, with my head down, I'm walking back. And I ended up running into the gym. I ended up running into this after school kind of program where there was a coach and there was a gym. And I was like, oh my God, I'm very uncomfortable here, but this can be the game changer for me. I can out hustle. I can learn how to get strong, fit, and all that stuff. And I can go back on the field and crush them. And that was like the moment that I decided at a young age that that physical fitness was going to be a massive part in my life. And I share that with you so you know where I'm coming from. And then the second story, and this one will be quick, was I was in college. I had done a bunch of stuff in fitness, but I was not living a life that so I had clients. I was 20 years old basically, and I had clients that were 30 and 35, and I was guiding them in fitness, nutrition, all that. But I was living kind of a lie of sorts, right? I was in college. I was drinking a lot. I wasn't sleeping a lot. I was partying a lot. And even though I was, quote unquote, the healthy guy that everyone kind of gravitated towards for health, fitness, and nutrition, I wasn't living the life. And even though I was young, this totally concerned me. And I kind of felt empty inside, and I was like, what the hell, man? And I remember one day after a long night, one of those long nights at school, I stereotypically, we took a picture. I remember perfectly. We took a picture, and there was a very sophisticated flag behind me, and it was a Corona beer flag. And I remember taking a picture. I had my shirt off, right? And I saw it the next day, and I'm like, oh my God, man. Like, what have I become? What have I become? On one side, I'm this healthy, young guy who has a bunch of clients who are paying him money. And then on the other side, I am just this toxic person who has no idea what he's doing and I just felt empty inside. And that's when I was like, man, today it changes. Like today I am no longer going to live a lie. And that moment actually set me off on what I call my quest, which literally lasted 10 years. It's still part of me today. But I spent the next decade traveling, spending tens and tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars to really learn from the best minds in fitness. And it took me all over the world, really. And I met amazing coaches. I interned for coaches. I did seminars. I gave seminars. All this stuff that I just really changed the game for me. And what I wanted to do was to touch every part of fitness. I didn't want to just live in one little bubble, because I noticed that people would do something in fitness and it would work for them, and then they would stop learning. And for me, it was like, man, screw that. I want to learn everything, because I want to have the baddest, biggest toolbox. So when I work with people, first selfishly on myself, but then when I work with people, I have this whole world that I can do. And just some of these people on here, these are just a small fraction of them. It's Jim Jones, it's Zach Evanesh, it's OPT, who's out of Scottsdale, actually, Westside Barbell, all these places that I went to. And I really wanted to find what truly worked for people long term and what worked for different populations. Because as a 22-year-old kid, stuff works for a 22-year-old who has a lot of testosterone and can sleep all day. But man, is that same thing going to work for a 55-year-old mother, right? Like you have to. I knew I had to reach out of my comfort zone. And here's some of the stuff I've done. And the reason I cross it out is because it's really not that important. But all you have to know, I never like to list my certifications. It's kind of like the resume. I think the resume is dead. I think it's BS. When I was hiring people, I never looked at resumes because I really just want to see what can you do for me. And that's exactly why I crossed this out, because it's not about what I've done. It's what I can do for people now. But I did have a period where I was considered the human guinea pig, kind of like Tim Ferriss, not to that degree. I wasn't doing blood transfusions and all the crazy stuff that he's done. But I was just trying everything on myself, every nutritional protocol. I wanted to do it at least once. So enough about me. You're not going to hear about me for the rest of the for the rest of the webinar. But here are just a couple people that I've trained. So I've literally worked with every person. I think the youngest person I worked with was 10. And the oldest was 75. And like I said earlier, for me, the most powerful moments were always when, I got messages. And early on, it was like, man, you changed my life. And I was like, it sounded so cliche, and it sounded so cliche that it was almost tough for me to hear. But then I started to dig deeper. And as I grew up and I got more mature, I'm like, man, I actually created change in people that's going to last the rest of their life. And this is like long-term habit change. And that's what I'm about. I'm about longevity, the whole like 6 weeks, 8 weeks dieting thing. I'm not the guy to do that. So I wanted to give you that backstory, as well as if you're on this webinar, I will give you an opportunity at the end. I'm building something really cool with my Catalyst Inner Circle. There's no gimmicks here, nothing to hide. I do have a program that I'm starting for people, a membership group actually, and I'll give you an opportunity at the end of the webinar. If you're interested, if my message resonates with you, I want you to at least extend that offer and go from there. And a little bit more about what I do. Again, I just want to I'm going to show you by breaking through these plateaus how you can feel more confident, excited, see more results, and live a life that is connected in regards to your physical body, man. Like you go to your local mall these days, and not to judge, but people outside are hurting. And that's one of the issues with that's part of my mission. It's like, man, we have the most resources and the most information, especially in this country, ever. And there are people that are so much on one side of the spectrum, but then most of the people are on the other side. Why is this happening? And I want you to just remember that it takes one action and one mindset, and it's the following. You have to choose it. You have to want it. Whatever it is your result, and we're going to go through how to set outcomes after this. You have to actually choose it, and that's it. So with that said, let's get ready to go. I'm going to take you through the 7 common plateaus that I've seen over the last 10 years. I got a lot of friends that own gyms that tell me about this stuff. I see it all the time. I get Facebook messages all day about this. And I just wanted to condense it all into one thing and teach you and breakthrough for you. Number 2, I'm going to teach you how to set effective outcomes that actually work. So this is one of my big issues. I see people that don't know how to set outcomes. They don't know where they're going. So then there's no follow-up, and they just get kind of lost, and then they lose track, and their motivation, inspiration, all that stuff is gone. And then lastly, why one size fits all does not work long term. It might work early on. It might work when you're just starting out. And how to tweak it and how to make it work, even if you're in a group fitness environment, even if you're working out with a group, you can still individualize your program to get some stuff done. So again, drop me a note if there's any issues with audio. I just want to make sure it's good. I'm recording this. I'll send everyone the link tomorrow if you missed part of it or want to see it again. So what is the problem that I'm going to address today? What is the context? The context is always super important, right, with these things. And this webinar is for the person who is training right now. So you're currently training. It doesn't matter how many times a week you're training. You just have that habit down and you've been doing it. You're eating the way you think you're supposed to be eating. You think it's the right way. It's quote unquote unhealthy. It's clean, whatever it is. P.S. While this webinar, I will be drinking a lot of water. So just FYI, especially out here in Arizona. So at first you saw some awesome results, right? Maybe you were coming off a period of no activity. Maybe you were just starting a new program, but you saw some badass results. But then out of nowhere, they stopped. And a lot of times what happens is the results, they don't go from like massive results to a little bit less results. A lot of times they go from massive results to no results. And you feel like you're working hard in terms of in the gym, you're pushing hard, you're sweating, you're leaving like exhausted, all that stuff, but nothing is changing in regards to your body. In the context of functional fitness, CrossFit, stuff like that, performance, yeah, like your lifts are going up a little bit, and that feels good and that's cool, but for you, it's not your end all be all. And this is super common, and I saw it over and over, and that's why I wanted to address it. So plateau breaker number one. So I got 7 of these breakers, right? Number one is to train smarter and not harder. So here's the deal. Like functional fitness and mental training have just exploded over the last 8 years in a massive way. And I think it's so awesome. And it's great to see people like pushing above and beyond what they think they can do on a daily basis. But the deal is it's gotten to a point where I'm seeing people train themselves into oblivion, right? And the problem is that people are training so goddamn hard, meaning that every session they are literally having to be picked up from the ground, that they're actually wrecking their possibility of actually getting results. Why? Because they are destroying what's under the hood. They're destroying their hormones by making this massive, massive dent and stress on their body that they can actually never recover, right? So they have no chance to adapt and grow. Our body's always going to try to get back to a place of balance. And that place of balance is where we burn fat, we retain muscle, or build muscle if that's what you're doing. But if you're always destroying it, you're just never going to see any results. It's like redlining your car all day. At some point, that shit's going to break down, right? So, it's always tough to tell people train less. And that's why I put that in the headline of the webinar. But it's super important. So for me, the solution is that for the average person, you can only handle really like 3 intense sessions every week, right? And when I say the average person, it's a person with like a career and maybe a family, and like fitness isn't their only thing. Obviously, a 22-year-old in college will be able to handle like 5 sessions because they don't have anything going on, right? So 3 hard sessions a week, right? And then 1 to 2 moderate to low intensity sessions, focusing on recovery and lifestyle choices, because again, you can never out-train what's happening under the hood. Now, I came from the New York City area where everybody's type A and they want to out-train the issue, right? So the issue is they're training too hard to see results. Why not train more? This is a very tough thing to do, but just make sure when you look at your program, when you look at your weekly program or what you're doing, ask yourself, like, am I training smart or am I just training hard for the sake of training hard? Very tough concept for people to get their head around. P.S. All these pictures are former clients or current clients, so it's actually funny to see them. It brings back a lot of memories. I can remember specific workouts. It's very cool. So number 2, eat more. Eat more. So what's the problem? So you're stuck nutritionally and you decide, or maybe someone tells you that you need to cut more calories, that you need to cut more carbohydrates, that you need to have less overall volume in your day. The reason this doesn't work is because you can only do this to a certain amount until you literally break down. It's very similar to number 1, right? Not eating creates a massive stress response in your system. Not eating is going to raise this thing called cortisol. It's going to get you in a place where you're just not able again to burn fat anymore. And what I see, particularly with women, it's probably even. I used to see it a lot more with women in my physical locations. Now I'm seeing it with men. They're just simply not eating enough. It's like, dude, you're through 260 pounds and you're having 1,200 calories. That's just not enough, man. And it's very tough to get this through to people. Like, you have to eat more to burn more, right? And the reason why this is super important is because, listen, evolution has made it so our bodies want to be fat. Like, your body wants to be as fat as humanly possible. Why? Because back in the day, it had no idea when the hell it was going to get its next meal. Now, if you're not giving it consistent fueling, it thinks it's back in the dark ages when it doesn't know it's going to get its next meal. So what's it going to do? It's going to hold on to all the fat. It's not going to burn fat. That's the last thing it wants to do. So just remember that, like, you have to eat enough. And so the solution is just remembering that, hey, like, starvation and dieting, quote unquote dieting, I don't really use that word. It never works long term. There's a reason why the Biggest Loser guys come back a year later and they're actually, and I laugh when I say I shouldn't laugh because it's actually quite sad, because they saw such amazing change, but they came back a year later and they checked in on them and they weren't just at the same spot that they were when they started. They were actually bigger. And that's because dieting and 1,000 calories a week for a 300-pound person like some of these people on Biggest Loser just does not work. So remember, when you're trying to lean out, you want to cut the least amount of calories to achieve your goals. Because if you can lose consistent body fat at 2,000 for a male, let's say 2,000 calories, why the hell would you do 1,200, right? It's all about efficiency. So eat more and eat more of the right stuff. We'll go through that later. Number 3, strength is king. So we talked about this earlier in number 1, but in terms of training, there's been massive study and research. And back in the day, I used to do so much. I used to live on PubMed, which is a research place. And what I kept seeing over and over again was aerobic training actually made people fatter. Aerobic training made people bigger. Aerobic training had no impact on body fat. And that's when I really started to be biased towards strength work. And really, it's any type of strength work. It doesn't have to be a specific type of strength work, but using some type of resistance. And yes, you can use body weight sometimes, but not all the time. So for me, I create for my clients that I work with is really focus on strength work, because strength work leads to the best possible adaptation. It leads to the best chances of you burning fat. And it avoids what happens with aerobic training, which is a high stress response. Again, more hormones that you don't want. And also, it eats your muscle, right? When you do aerobic training, a lot of the time, instead of keeping your muscle, it actually, a lot of times you'll see people like who train endurance or whatnot, or do a lot of aerobic stuff and spinning and all this stuff. Yeah, like they'll lose weight, they'll lose body weight, but let's say they lose 10 pounds. A lot of times that's like 7 pounds of muscle, 5 pounds of muscle. Dude, that could take you years to get back if you ever want to get back. And what happens is they actually look exactly the same, right? Because if you take 10 pounds off and you take 10 pounds of muscle off someone's frame, 5 pounds of muscle, and you take 5 pounds of fat, a lot of times they're going to be in the same exact place aesthetically. So strength work, what I've realized all through all my years of training others and training people, is the best place for this kind of optimum zone of burning fat. So less is more with high intensity training. I still love high intensity training. Do not get me wrong. It's still my favorite thing in the world, but use them as finishers, right? Use them as 10-minute finishers, maybe a few times a week. Do sprint work, do sled work, go to the track, do stuff that's like super high intensity, but has a lot of rest. So you're not wrecking yourself each and every session. 3 down, baby. We're moving quick. Number 4 is count macronutrients. And I'll tell you a story of why I quit prescribing paleo to clients. Early on, it was my favorite way of eating because it was simple. It was black or white. This is good. This is not good. Easy, easy, easy. I used to give my early clients a book, and really it was about education. For me, it was about, hey, this person is coming from such a toxic place. Let's shift their mindset so they understand that food quality is important and what it is and how it affects their body and whatnot. But what I saw through the years was that our bodies are such brilliant tools, such amazing tools in terms of adaptation, that people adapted so quickly to this paleo, to this low carb lifestyle. And that in itself caused a massive plateau. And if you look into the science of how carbohydrates and all that work, you'll understand why. So it works great early on, But again, when you combine the amount of training that you're doing, right, with this low carb eating, and you might be under eating anyways, that is going to put you in a position where your body's you're just always spinning your wheels because you're in such a stressed out state. So, for me, what I've done the past, I would say probably 2 to 3 years, and what has given me just amazing results for clients who want to lose fat, who want to get leaner and all that, while doing some performance work, was to literally incorporate macronutrient goals. So that's like, hey, I'm going to give you a profile. This is what you're going to have. You're going to have this XYZ amount of protein. But what it did is give them their life back, right? Because when you're on paleo or on low carb, carbs freak you the hell out. It's not a fun place. I've been there. I did strict paleo for a year as a experiment. And when I say strict paleo, I mean fucking strict paleo, like not one cheat throughout the year. I've actually never met anybody who has done that. And it was pretty funny because I was, girlfriend at the time was a vegan and I was a paleo obsessed guy. And that combination in terms of eating food together was not healthy. And the reason why I like macronutrient profiles is because it allows you to have a life, right? And with the people I work with, and maybe this is you're going to be out with clients maybe, or you're going to be out on a date night, or you're going to be out with friends, and there's less chance of you binging if you don't guilt trip yourself because you had a little bit of rice or potato or some type of carbohydrate, right? But with paleo, what I saw was that if people had that one meal, dude, it was like a snowball effect for the next, it could last months. It could be 3 days, it could be 4 days, but they would just go off the rails. So that's my personal experience. I still think there's value in it for some people, especially if they tweak it a little bit to give themselves more carbohydrate and just make sure they're getting a lot of it. But just make sure that what you're doing is going to work for you long term and can literally allow you to have a life while you're training, because most of us are not pro athletes. Number 5, this is the unsexiest one ever, but super important. It's about recovering harder, and something I've always preached, and this is a very tough sell for gyms and for trainers because it's very easy, it's very sexy to sell a very hard, intense fitness session. It's not that sexy to sell recovery and maybe doing a yoga class, or maybe doing some mobility, or maybe doing some very light work, or maybe getting the right amount of sleep, or maybe getting a massage. All this stuff that helps you recover, super important. So just remember that growth doesn't happen when you're training. Growth does not happen in the gym. It happens when you are resting and hanging out and all that stuff, right? Or actively resting. So remember, lifestyle nutrition, 80% of results. Unless you're a pro athlete and you have the resources of one. See, that goes to the crux of the problem, man. Like, people want to train like a pro athlete these days, and I certainly have in the past. I was doing 2 days for like 2 years, but they don't have the resources that a pro athlete has, man. Like, think about all the resources a pro athlete has in terms of just having a staff dedicated to their recovery. And if you don't have the ability to recover, again, you're going to run yourself into the ground and your body's just going to stop. It's just going to come to a screeching halt. So a good question for this is is this action taking me closer or further away to my goals? And even a workout can take you further away from your goals. You just have to be smart. Like I said, I think it was number 2, about how you structure it. And if you're doing 6 to 7 hard workouts a week, I would tell you to slow down and actually recover and take a week where you just don't do anything. Like, once in a while, take a week where you don't do anything. Super important for you mentally and all that stuff. Number 6 is what I call hormone optimization. So with this, it's a really cool way of saying, man, just fix what's under the hood, which we've talked about a couple times now. But it's a big problem if you're waking up in the morning with low energy, because in the morning, you should have your highest amount of energy just based on circadian rhythms and whatnot. And I know some people say they're not morning people, but you should still have some type of energy in the morning. And you need stimulus to wake you up. That could be caffeine. It could be even a workout, something to wake you up. There's a deep-rooted issue underlying that, and you're just going to run yourself into the ground. So I just tell people up front, this is not normal, and we have to work on it. And the work is not going to be sexy. It's not going to be fun, but it's going to make a massive difference. So that comes down to just incorporating daily habits that allow you to just maximize recovery and get more energy. So sleep 6 to 8 hours a night, non-negotiable, super important. Stress, dealing with stress is crucial. Everybody has stress. Doesn't matter what you do in life, you're going to have stress. It's all about how you respond to it, but at the same time, you can have tools like a daily meditation. I used to have clients. I work with a lot of kind of CEOs and people like that, or people like in the executive offices or whatnot, and I would just have them set an alarm every hour and just go up and down, go outside of their building. Ideally, you don't take the phone. You just do a lap around the building. It's like 5 minutes. Come back in. There's something about going outside, something about seeing some type of nature that is super helpful. Pattern interrupt, same thing. It's finding a way to break up your day. If you're feeling low energy, doing some sort of action that just breaks it open. And then lastly, just having a bedtime routine. Like, it shocks me how many people I've had to coach over the years that are literally sitting in bed and they're just looking at their Facebook and looking at their phone and all iPads and all this stuff. Like, man, that messes with you big time. So, having some type of routine where it's like, okay, this is the signal. I am telling my body that I'm going to pass out within the next hour. And for me, it's super simple. I don't have to share my full routine, but what I do is like an hour before bed, I put the phone on airplane mode. Most people, even when I was running my businesses, I would do that anyways. I felt that my mental space was more important, and I had a staff that could deal with an emergency if I had one. Some people can't do this, obviously. Maybe you're a surgeon or a doctor or whatever. You can't do that. But airplane mode, 1 hour before bed, I take a shower, I do some foam rolling. All these small little activities subconsciously are just telling my body, dude, it's time to shut it down. It's time to shut it down. And I always had trouble with sleep. And ever since I started doing that, it changed the game for me. And last one, number 7, which probably is the biggest one, is that people are plateaued because they just don't know where they're going, right? They don't have any targets that they've set. Maybe they came into the gym and they came in with a goal and then the trainer forgot about it and now they're just kind of spinning their wheels. There's no goals, there's no why, there's no metrics. So like, what do you expect? So recently I moved out here to Scottsdale, Arizona, and I drove from Connecticut, and it was like a 5-day drive. It was awesome. Like one of the best experiences I ever had. But the example that I'm giving you is that what people do with their fitness is like as if I would have hopped in my car, no map, no phone, and just drove aimlessly, right? And I probably would have ended up, I don't know, Canada, if I'm lucky, somewhere around there. And that's what people do with their fitness, right? They don't track anything. People get very emotional about tracking numbers and whatnot. But then they don't get anywhere. And what I started to notice that it literally in about 80% of gyms, people were going through this. They were just going through the motions without any active goals. So I would go up to them, like at some of my buddies' gyms, I would just ask them like, what are you working on right now? What is the number one thing that you want to get done in the next 3 months? And they were just like, they didn't really have anything, or they had something super generic that they didn't really care about, or just something that they would say. So the solution, and the reason I made this the last one, is because right after this, we're going to actually set out some outcomes. We're going to have an interactive portion of this where I'm going to take you through the exact thing that I do with new clients. So I'm going to ask you to actually take out a pen and a paper, or maybe you can do it on your computer if you want. We're going to make it happen. So just remember, like, you have to know where you're going. You have to know where you are, and then you have to know where you want to go. And then along the way, you got to find ways to track if it's working or not, because there is tons of value in finding out what doesn't work for you, right? Because if something doesn't work, you just cross that off the list, and then now there's a possibility that the next thing is going to work. But if we never find out if something works or doesn't work, then we're just going to stay in this zone where we're just spinning our wheels, and eventually we're going to quit the program. Just eventually something else will come up. We'll come up with an excuse because deep down we know that it's not working. Boom. So we went through the 7 plateaus, and right now we are going to go through setting outcomes. And this is the same exact thing I've done with clients for years. I'm actually going to follow through with you guys. Have a notebook here as well for my outcomes. And this is super important. So with this exercise, you can either, like I said earlier, you can play all in with it, or you can kind of just make something up. And I just urge you to play all in. And maybe right now you have a fitness goal that you're working on. You can write that down and write down why it's so important to you. So here we go. This is awesome. So step number one is super simple, and it's just asking you some questions. And back when I had my gym, my first gym ever straight out of school, it was called Aspire Fitness, really cool spot, like a boutique, personal training, like super cool spot. And it was funny because I was a 23-year-old kid, and the people coming in were like, 35, 45, 55, all that stuff. And I really had to learn how to ask proper questions so they knew that I knew what I was talking about. So one of the first things I asked is what do you actually want with your body? Now, people will answer this quickly with some type of surface area answer. And I'll give you an example. I had this guy, it's probably maybe like, let's just say he was probably like 33 or something, had an office job, hadn't done anything for about 10 years, was probably in his mind, I would say probably like 50, 60, 70 pounds from where he wanted to be, but more realistically, probably double that. And so I asked him like, why are you here? What do you want? All that stuff. And I'm starting to peel off the layers. And, the first thing he said, man, I just want to feel fitter. So I say, cool, man. What does that feel like? Take me to that place. What does it feel like? What does it look like? Take me to that, like, what changes about the way you operate? But he was very closed off, as many men that I see are early on, very closed off. And I kept having to ask these questions. And then finally he's like, dude, you cracked me, dude. You cracked me. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, honestly, man, my relationship is in a really bad spot right now. We've lost attraction to each other. They had recently, I believe, had a child, all this stuff, but basically they weren't spending any time with each other. Besides, managing their new child and all that. And they had lost that spark is what he said. And I was like, dude, that's what I wanted to hear. Like, that's a why that's going to make you show up over and over again if you're truly committed to that relationship. So that's the type of stuff that I want to hear, right? So what do you want with your body? What does that look like? What does it feel like? And then most importantly, once you're in that place mentally, what does that give you? Because any result or outcome that we want has a whole host of benefits that it gives us that we don't write down. And the problem is if we don't write them down, then there's less chance of that happening because there's less connection to us. Waking up at 5 a.m. is hard for some people, but if you have a deep why, like this guy it was about him, but it was also about fixing his relationship, that's a massive difference. Or maybe for some people, it's about their kids. I get so many people that come up to me and they're like, man, I can't even hang with my kids right now. I can't even be present because I'm just so exhausted, that type of stuff. So write down what you want first and foremost. Super important. Number two is that you're going to create a 90-day outcome. And people are like, dude, tell me, why are you obsessed with these 90-day outcomes? And for me, it's because 90 days is enough time to create something awesome, but it's also not like a year away where it's so far that you just forget about it halfway through, right? This is why resolutions don't work. That's why everybody in January is at the gym, and then by January 23rd, the place is empty, right? Because people are actually thinking way too far in advance. So 90-day goals is perfect because it allows you to set something that is stretch. It's going to be tough. Like, you should be doubting yourself a little bit, but it also gets you excited because it's actually realistic. Like, deep down, if you put in the work, if you commit to it, you can make it happen. Super important. So you're not going to say, hey, I'm going to climb Mount Everest in 90 days, right? If you've never been hiking before, that's not a great goal. But man, I'm going to go out here to Pinnacle with a 40-pound vest and get that done in XYZ time. That's a better goal, right? Number three, so some outcome examples. So I have three places, three kind of worlds, if you may, where I will have people create outcomes, because this shit's all connected, right? There's not one, one without the other. So number one would be aesthetics. Now, aesthetics and performance will depends on the hierarchy. Like, I get a lot of people who train for performance. They're like, Tommy, I don't really care that much how I look. It's important to me, but this 20-mile race is more important. That goal will become the number one goal, and then the aesthetics will be below that. They are not mutually exclusive, obviously, but you have to have some type of priority, right? So here's an example of a real world goal. Aesthetics, in 90 days, I will have dropped 12 pounds of body weight and 4% body fat. That's really damn realistic. And it's a little low, to be honest, but I know this person, and it was a really good goal for them. It's all about expectations, right? That's only 1 pound a week, 12 weeks. But that's going to set them up long term. And their fitness goal was in 90 days, I would have completed a 5K in under 30 minutes. So you can see how the fitness goal will support the aesthetics goal, right? You don't want to have two completely different things. You don't want to say, I want to look like a bodybuilder, but I also want to do a triathlon. Like those two are just not going to mix. They're not going to work out long term, right? And then the lifestyle goal is just as important, right? In 90 days, I would have established a daily meditation routine. So what does this do? Going back to our prior plateau thing about stress and hormones and all that, this lifestyle goal directly supports the two goals above. And the lifestyle goal could be anything. It could be drink a gallon of water a day. It could be do yoga twice a week. It could be some type of de-stressor or some type of meal planning or something like that that just supports your other outcomes. But it's important to have these three phases in terms of your outcomes. Number 4 is tracking. So like I said earlier, people don't like tracking because it gives them the reality of where they are. Now, to me, that's a powerful place, right? I want to know how much money is in my bank account. I want to know what my body fat is. I want to know all these metrics because to me, it's not emotional data. Then I can make a decision. Then I know where I'm at. But if I'm constantly not looking at my numbers, I had this problem in business a lot. As an entrepreneur, I didn't want to look when things were bad. In fact, I didn't even want to look when things were awesome. But I had to force myself to make it happen, right? To see where I'm at so I can actually make a choice in that place. So here are some metrics that I like. Body fat is a good one. Just make sure whoever tests you knows what you're doing. I actually have a body fat machine right now in my apartment here in Arizona. Number 2 is pictures. These are super underrated. Grab a couple selfies. I make clients take their selfies. I just love selfies, as you can tell. Every 2 weeks, and there's accountability with this. That there's an accountability with taking the pictures. That seeing their body is super powerful. You can see changes in pictures that you can't see anywhere else. Number 3, measurements. Go to Amazon, $2, buy a measurement, learn how to do it. Sometimes you'll lose like 2 inches, but your body weight might stay the same. I threw in body weight. I don't like it. Again, people have an obsession with the scale. I don't think if you're going to do body weight, don't make sure it's just not your only one. I can't tell you how many clients crushed it Monday through Friday in terms of their fitness, nutrition, all that. And then they got on this scale and that was their only tracking device. And then they got totally depressed and they're like, this is not working. This is horrible. I gained 2 pounds. And the thing with body weight is that there's massive fluctuations with water, like this gallon that I have right here, or your workouts or all that stuff. It goes up and down, up and down, up and down. So if you are going to track body weight, do it every day at the same time and then take a weekly average. That's going to be way more accurate. Performance goal is really good to track. Obviously, you should be tracking what you're training. If performance is your thing, this is going to go way higher on this, obviously. And then stress and sleep metrics. There's a lot of ways now these days with apps. Some guy was just telling me, where was I? Some dude was just telling me, oh yeah, I was working out just recently today at SickFit, and some dude was telling me that he tracks his sleep. I can't do that because that would freak me out, knowing that there's a machine like tracking my sleep. But that it's a good thing to track, and you can track it like, did I just go to bed every night before 11:30 or something, or before 11 or something? Just pick a time and then associate a score that you want to get on that. Super important. Number 5, declaration and accountability. So once you have your outcome, once you have your 90-day outcome in fitness, nutrition, and lifestyle, like declare it, man. Like you have to get that goal out in the universe. The thing is, people don't declare it, so now they have no accountability, because if you don't declare it, nobody knows about it, you're not accountable for it. And we'd like to think that we're all accountable for ourselves, but it's not true. That's why, for me, I am in fitness. I know how to write a million workouts for a million different types of people. I still have a coach, right? And it's not because he's giving me workouts that I can't come up with myself. It's because I have to check in with him. I got to make sure I'm on point, right? I truly believe in the power of coaching because of accountability. So declare and share it. Number 2, like I said, have a coach, person, trainer. It doesn't have to be any of these things. It could just be social media, something. There's so many communities now online. You could go to MyFitnessPal, all these different apps, have communities, join one, and use them. Use them for massive accountability. I got the Inner Circle, which is coming up. I'll tell you about later, where that's going to be a big thing. But just remember, so outcome plus accountability equals results. If you have a massive outcome but zero accountability, I guarantee you're not going to get the results. Very tough. Maybe 1% of 1% will do it. And then on the flip side, if you have all the accountability in the world, all the support and all that stuff, but you have no outcome, well, then there's nothing that we can actually measure you against in terms of getting a result. So just remember, those two are super crucial. And it seems so simple saying it out right now, but man, you'd just be shocked at how many people hit me up on Facebook and Instagram and all this social media are like, dude, I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. And I'm just like, dude, did you even have where are you going? And they have no idea. So number 6, almost there, is pretty basic. Just 2 questions. And this one you got to think about a little bit. And you have to go deep into it. It's like, what if in 90 days you woke up and you achieved the outcome? And this outcome should excite you. Like, it should be exciting. Don't make it something that's super simple that you're just going to do within the first 2 weeks and then forget about it, right? But really, for me, going back to my mission about how fitness affects the rest of your life, it's like, what does that do for your body? Okay, we know what it's going to do for your body. You're going to have more energy. You're going to feel vitality. You're going to have confidence, all that. But what does it do to your being? And when I say being, that just means your connection to yourself, right? There's something about training your body. For me, fitness has always been part of a kind of a spiritual quest that I'm on. And so what does that do for you in terms of your connection? You don't have to go too deep with that. It comes down to appreciation for your body, right? Knowing that you're investing in yourself first, right? When you invest in yourself, you can invest in other people. Number 3, what does it do for your balance? So what does it do for your relationships? I'm not just talking intimate relationships, although those are huge, right? What does it do to your confidence in that? But clients and employees and coworkers and people in the Chamber of Commerce and networking and all this stuff, it all lines up. And then lastly, what does it do for your career and your business, right? What does it do for your ability to, so Richard Branson, right? Everybody knows him, probably the most famous entrepreneur ever. Funny story, he was, so he has an island called Necker Island. It's pretty famous. He bought the island, obviously. And so he does these masterminds, and they're like $50K for like a weekend, 50 grand, whatever it is. And so I remember hearing this story that they had just gotten in, they were on his yacht, sailing around, and someone asked him a question, and they're like, Richard, you've started like 500 companies in your career. Where do you get the energy, basically? Like, where the hell do you get the energy to deal with all that people, all that, all the insanity of airlines and marketing and Virgin megastores and all this stuff? And his answer was, I work out. And that's it. And the guy was expecting this massive like business breakthrough and mastermind. And his answer was like, dude, I work out. And that's the power of fitness with all the areas of life. So on the flip side, it's important to do this exercise and do it and do it on the flip side. Like, what if in 90 days you haven't gotten your outcome? What does that do for the 4 areas of life? And more importantly, and also you can do 365 days. Like, this happens a lot. If you don't a lot of people don't take action, and then they forget about it, and then life gets in the way, and then it's the holidays, and then there's vacation and kids and the school, and then next thing you know, it's 1 year later. So time is going to pass no matter what. A lot of people come to me in some sort of pain, right? If you walk in through the door, if you call me, if you get on a call with me, I know that there's something that we have to fix. And it's my job to help you take that action, right? So super important with those. And that's it in terms of setting outcomes. So hopefully that gave you some clarity. This is the most powerful outcome setting, and it's simple. It's not complex. It's simple. Maybe you've heard it before, but if you actually do it, if you do it with intention, and once you have your outcome, if you go all into getting that outcome, I guarantee all the past failures and all the past stories of stuff that's happened with your fitness, those will dissolve, because now you have a plan and now you know where you're going. So moving on, we are getting quickly through this. And so why is everyone failing? So why, again, going back to one of the first slides, is why is everybody failing? It's more like a summary of what we've talked about so far, but it's really a lack of outcomes, right? We talked about that. Lack of knowing what they want. A lot of people say what they want, but they don't, it's not truly what they want. Lack of knowledge and action steps, right? 4, misinformation. A lot of misinformation out there. Just everybody's become an expert at fitness, no matter who it is, right? They can go online and now preach, but there's a lot of information at the same time, right? I could show you 100 articles on why carbs are awesome, and then I could show you 100 articles on why carbs are bad. Same thing with training. I could show you 50 articles about why high intensity is the thing to do, and I could show you 50 articles about why not. And for me, same thing with business and other places of information. That's why I invest. That's why I invest in people who know better than me. Just plain and simple, because I don't have time to analyze everything, especially in an area that I don't know. In fitness, it's a little bit different because that's what I do. So number 5, again, no deep why. So just having a why. Vanity is cool. Like, vanity works. for a while. It's not my thing. I have deeper whys than that, but vanity can work as a goal. But usually it's something deeper. Usually you want to find something like combine vanity with something else. Like combine, like what does that vanity get you, right? What does it losing like the 10% body fat actually get you? Like it could be as like just more confidence, and that would be your deeper why. Number 6 is lack or proper guidance in terms of what I call tunnel vision coaches or one-trick ponies. Again, these are just people that stuff worked for them once, and it might have worked for like 10 of their clients, and then they stop learning and they prescribe that to everybody. In my opinion, everybody is unique, and everybody requires a certain amount of specific stuff for themselves. Number 7 is paralysis by analysis. This is my favorite. This is the guy or the gal that researches every program on the planet. They know everything about it, the pros, the cons, the injuries, all this stuff, but they end up literally doing nothing. And this, I saw this so much in my fitness business, man, it's tough. It's tough because they know everything and they're so consumed by information, but they just don't do anything. And that's why they're not getting the results. And 8, I mentioned earlier with keyboard fitness, everybody is an expert and you can get super confused. And those are the main reasons. Boom. So right now I want to open it up. I'm going to minimize my screen just a little bit. I want to see if there's any questions that came in, and I just want to zoom this in, see if there's a hot seat that's going on, and we'll see. Oh, okay, awesome. Oh, we got MJ, man. MJ live from Italy. You got any questions? MJ, man, that guy's he was actually in one of these slides, and he's in Italy, and he's on the webinar. That tells you loyalty. So got a couple questions that I want to go through. I do want to see, had a hot seat guy, but I don't think he's here, unfortunately. Had a couple hot seats. If you want a hot seat, what you're going to do is literally just raise your little hand in GoToWebinar, I believe. It's the hand signal. It will give me a heads up, and I can hot seat you. But I do have a question from Kristen. Let me just maximize this right now. View full screen. MJ, if you have a question, let me know. Anyone have a question, just let me know. So question from Kristen is, should women strength train as much as men? And it's an awesome question. I get it all the time. And the answer for me, and I'm certainly biased, would be yes. The same principles that apply with all the men that I've worked with also apply to the women. Now, there's a couple tweaks and differences and whatnot, but overall, I see the same benefit. So women a lot of times will gravitate towards aerobic training, like a lot of spinning and yoga and stuff like that. Yoga is actually not aerobic training, but a lot of running and all that stuff. And it's super important for women because they don't have obviously they don't have the same hormones and testosterone that men do. It's very hard for them to build muscle. But what happens is as they age, especially as they age, is that they start to lose muscle, a lot of muscle. Every year they start to lose muscle. And if they're not strength training, they're just going to keep losing it at a faster and faster rate. So Kristen, I would totally recommend that you do strength training at least a few times a week. And again, you can always pair that up with a finisher. You can always do some other stuff. But where was I going with that? Someone distracted me over here. Yeah, just totally like strength training is great for women. You're not going to get bulky. That was the number one thing I heard at my gym. That does not happen unless you do tons of volume 2 days and you eat like 5,000 calories, which most people can't even handle. So just FYI on that. So make it happen. Like I would do 3 to 4 days of strength training, and then go from there. So let me just pull up the questions again. I have one more questions. I just don't know if it's questions or. So okay, sweet. So I got a question from Bauer. What are your thoughts on several light health meals throughout the day versus 3 main meals? Yeah, that's a great question. Great question from Bauer. So on that, I honestly, I actually realized this halfway through my coaching was that whole thing about 6 meals a day is complete BS. You don't need to have 6 meals a day. I don't know how it got so popular through bodybuilding or some stuff like that. But the whole argument was that if you have a lot of meals, if you have 6 meals a day, that the thermic effect of food, I'm trying to get not too nerdy on you here, that your ability to digest that food would burn more calories. But what they noticed after doing a ton of research, and I did a ton of research, was that you could have 6 meals and you could burn all these calories just from digesting it, or you could have that same caloric load into one meal and burn the same amount of calories. So I don't know how it got so big, but 6 meals is overrated. What I like to tell people, because I have some people on this thing called intermittent fasting, and that's only a couple meals a day, whatever works best for your lifestyle is the one that I want you to do. Because what happens with people is, changing nutritional habits is very, very hard for people socially and just habit wise and with their family and whatever they are. It's very tough to change, like eating meals and timing and whatnot. That's why I see these trainers, these personal trainers, they give their new clients who haven't done anything for a decade, they're coming off the couch, they make them eat every 2 hours, and then they wonder why they fell off after 2 weeks. It's just too much work. So there's definitely not one or the other. We got MJ, great question, by the way. We got MJ with a question. What is the best way to combat fatigue during travel through fitness, especially with a lack of gym? I laugh because he's in Italy right now, and I love that he's on the webinar. Thank you, brother. Yeah, fatigue, man. Like, dude, it's going to come down to recovery, man. So I know specifically where you are right now in terms of your training. So, but for everybody else out there, like if, travel, work, family, all this stuff has to play into your fitness program. And that's why when you do too much of one thing and you're not recovering, you could run yourself to the ground. So when you're traveling, honestly, I had a picture in here. I was in London and I trained every day, but I didn't train that hard. For me, the training, when I travel, it's just like free flow. If I wake up and I feel like doing something, I'll do it. But I won't go too hard because I know I'm jet lagged. I know I'm not a lot of energy, but I love combining fitness with exploring a new city in the world that I'm not sure of. So, dude, feel free to take like a few days off, man. And you can do body weight stuff or you can do jump rope, but also sometimes the best medicine. It's so funny. Quick story here. I don't want to go too deep into this, but they took two brothers, identical twins. They were both like 40, same weight, same body fat, all that stuff. And they sent one on like a vacation for 6 weeks. And then the other guy trained his ass off for 6 weeks, like nutrition, fitness, all that stuff. Guess who lost more body fat? The guy who went on vacation. And he didn't even eat clean, didn't even train or anything. But the reason he did was because of stress and all that. So just remember that recovery is super important. And if you're traveling, just enjoy the country that you're in Italy, get some good food, and that's awesome. Yeah, training while traveling, man. Do it, dose it appropriately, but listen to your body. All right. So, guys, awesome questions. Thank you so much. I am just going to check something quickly, and we got screen, dashboard. Okay, cool. I'm almost at an hour, so I'm going to finish this last part, talk about the inner circle, and then we will go from there. Let me get back to, I'm stoked we haven't had any crazy technical issues. Okay, cool. So as I mentioned, have an opportunity for anybody watching this live or watching it on a replay. I'm going to send out the replay to anyone who ended up registering. I had a lot of registrations, which was awesome. As always, people get caught up in stuff. Sometimes they don't show up, but that's cool. It happens to me too, and that's why I do the replay, and I thank you for showing up live. So the Catalyst Inner Circle is something I've been working on for actually about 6 months, and it goes down to exactly what I was saying earlier. It's a community that I've created. It's actually a Facebook-only community, and it's a membership community. And it started out as a big membership site, and I worked so much. I spent so much. I don't even want to think about how much time I spent on it. But I decided, you know what? People are so limited with the web in terms of where they can go to get information. I don't want to send them somewhere else. It's just too far, too different. So I'm like, dude, I'll just go where people are. And that's why I created the Catalyst Inner Circle within Facebook as a membership group. So it's all about 4 things: access, accountability, action steps, and then live coaching. And what I wanted to do was really reach people that weren't ready to invest in my programs, right? My programs are expensive. They're intense. They take a lot of time, effort, all that stuff. Some people aren't ready for that or don't want that. But for me, my mission is to reach also as many people as possible in this community. So in terms of what the ethos behind it is basically access to myself, access to training programs, nutrition protocols, all the stuff that I've talked about on here. I have daily check-ins, questions, and guidance. In terms of accountability, which to me is the number one reason why I created this, because I just see so many people who are just kind of lost in their fitness, is they get access. You're going to get access to my Catalyst forms. So these are forms that people fill out every single week, and it's basically a report card on yourself. But having to fill that out keeps you on track, and you'll also share your biggest lesson, your biggest challenge throughout the week, so we can hot seat that later. Weekly intention and goal setting real outcomes, and then just declaring others. A lot of the stuff that we talked about on here. In terms of action steps, like creating triggers. So a lot of times people don't take action because they just haven't set up their lifestyle in terms of triggers. It can be as simple as setting up your alarm. If you're training in the morning, set up your alarm in a different room or somewhere where you have to walk to your phone or shake it and all that, and that will get you up. And on the way there, guess what you're going to do? You're going to have your clothes laid out for the gym. So now there's no excuses, and some water to get you going. Setting up your lifestyle so you can run on autopilot, right? So a lot of my best clients, they don't actually think about their fitness all day. It's just automatic. It's become a habit, and they say it takes 21 days to build a habit. In my opinion, a real long-term habit takes about 90 days, but let's cut it somewhere down in the middle, probably about 60 days. And then I'm going to do live coaching on this inner circle. So live webinars, Q&A videos, and just Facebook coaching. I'm going to be spending a lot of my time there. So I got 30 spots open for this. So if you're watching live or the replay, just know I got 30 spots open already. I have 12 people who are just clients and other people that have kind of dripped in before I actually announced this officially. But again, the mission is to provide each member with the tools, action steps, and accountability to just get you going and help you out and give you that extra push that you need. Because to me, I need it as well. Even though I'm in fitness, I need that. So, my 90-day program is $2K right now. Like I said, I work one-on-one with people, and it's super intense. And a lot of people aren't ready to invest that. They might not be ready to invest the money or the time or the energy and all that stuff, and that's fine. The reason I wanted to do this was to just reach out to a bigger group of people. If you've ever read the book Tribes by Seth Godin, that's what this is about. So what is the investment on this? It's $37 a month. But for people on this webinar or watching the replay, for the next 24 hours, it's going to be a cup of coffee. If you go to Starbucks, it's probably $4. I don't drink coffee. I do smoothies. They're actually like $8 here in Scottsdale, but they're damn good. So your first month is $4, 30 days. There's no complicated process. If you jump in, you get all the value you want to stay on it. I'd love to have you. If for some reason you jump in and I know you're going to get value no matter what, but if for some reason you're like, dude, 37, I can't do it, that's fine. The cancellation process is super easy. So if you're ready to do it, go to www.tommybakerfitness.com/inner-circle. You can sign up there, and what you're going to do is have a little application form, and it's going to tell me, dude, this is why I'm coming. This is what I need out of the program for me to feel like I got massive value. So again, $4, cup of coffee for your first 30 days. And then after that 37 months, thereafter, you can cancel anytime, no complications. And that's basically it. Now, one last thing. For the first 10 people that jump into this, I'm actually going to do a 15-minute hot seat one-on-one session. This is 100% free on my time, on your time. We're going to go on Skype. And really what I want to do is just answer the number one issue or question or anything you need to move yourself forward. All right. So again, www.tommybakerfitness.com/inner-circle. First 10 people, fresh people. I already have about 13 people in the group, but the first 10 people after that are going to get a free 15-minute hot seat. We'll do it within the next couple of weeks, depending on our schedules. I'll send you a calendar invite, and that's it. So one last thing. We've been through the 7 plateaus. We've been through how to set outcomes, how to set effective outcomes. We've been through why people are stuck and why you may be stuck. But just remember, I want to leave this webinar with you empowered and feeling good and feeling like you can do it. So just remember, you have the power to choose what you want with your physical body, and you can get it, right? People see fitness as a chore these days. They see it as something they have to do and they don't want to do. And all that negative headspace is what actually is keeping them back. So if you're on here, all I ask is that you take some type of action. It could be doing the inner circle. I'd love to have you. That's cool. Doesn't have to be, though. It could be writing down your outcomes tonight and sharing them with your spouse. I don't care what it is. just make the act, do an action associated to anything that you learned tonight, and that will make me so proud and so happy. It'll be huge. So guys, I wanted to thank you for the people that came here live. Thank you for spending about an hour and 10 minutes with me. It's super important to me, and it means a lot that you support my message, and hopefully you got something out of it. And again, remember, like, you're investing in yourself, whether it's through knowledge or through action or through fitness, nutrition, and anything you do, you're investing in the most important person in the world, which in your life is you. So thank you guys. It's been a pleasure. What I'm going to do is this whole thing has been recorded. What I'm going to do is email anybody that attended and just shoot them a special link just for them. I'm not going to have this public because it's a high value webinar that's super important to me. Only people that register are going to be able to see it, but I want to give it to you so you can refer back to it if you have any questions. So guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. The sun is starting to go down in Arizona. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for your questions, and I will see you soon. If you have any questions, let me know. It's been a pleasure. As always, the last thing I'll say is resist average. See you soon. Take care, guys.